All right, we are going to be starting in less than 1 minute. So thumbs up, nice. Thanks. Thanks for the interaction. I feel a bit more human. Hi, Looming, nice to see you. Welcome. All right, let's get started. Please feel free to ask questions as we go along. Okay, so that if you need any clarifications, we can do that. You were at Central Coast League Club. Cool. Yeah, I went to the beach. So everyone, welcome today to the Actions to Wealth Market Analysis for Sunday, 25th of June, 2023. My name is Lenka Taylor, for those who don't know me. And today I'm going to share with you some trade setups that I'm looking at for next week. So let me share my screen. And as I said before, feel free to ask questions so you get the most out of it. All right, so I'm going to start with, what's this? AUD JPY. I'm looking at AUD JPY. Because I think it's an interesting point in the market. So let me just go from the monthly, and I will show you what I'm looking at. So here on the monthly chart, I have identified the two levels of support and resistance for that whole, last decades. Where the price has bounced. And at the moment, we are at a point that the price has been there previously, but not really for very long. It has come back underneath. So I'm looking at the price action being at that same level and thinking, well, is it just going to shoot through for a little bit and come back? Or is it just actually going to stay underneath? Okay, so where it is at the moment, we already had a rejection there once before. So here I'm going, well, is it just going to shoot up and come back like it did, say previously, here and here and here? Or is it just going to bounce off and keep going back into that range? Because I'm expecting, if the price has been here for so long, that it would just, that's the happy area. That's where it likes to be. So let's have a look at the price action a little bit closer. So at the moment on the monthly, we can see that price has bounced off that area here. Okay, and now we're at the similar level. So this is the top is a level of resistance, and it's also a level of decision. This is where the price will decide what it's going to do. It's going to decide to, possibly bounce off, or it's going to decide to break through and keep going, or come back, retest, and keep going, right? Or it's just going to come up and back down and just keep going down. So it's a decision point, and it's a point of interest for traders around that level. So let's have a look on the weekly. So now jumping from the monthly time frame to the weekly time frame, AUD JPY. So here we are at the same level. So I've got the same lines marked out. And here we see that we have been at that level previously. We had the price action reject once. We have gone above, closed above, and then rejected back underneath. Okay, so all right, cool. Let's see what's going to happen next. On the daily, this is where we're at. So on the daily, the previous rejection, let me just put that over there like so we can see them both at the same time. So here we had, this is on the daily, we had this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days closed above and then back below and then kept going. Okay, here we had so far only 2 days close above, but it came back underneath and it is below that area again. So and yeah, all the other price action in recent years has been underneath. So what I want to see there on the daily is any sign of reversal in this area, because now we are underneath the weekly pivot. Okay, so if price action comes back, especially if it comes back into that previous channel that was going up and retests either that level or this level again. So if it, for example, does a double top, or if it does a lower high. Okay, if I would have that kind of price action, then I would be looking at shorting that and at least to this level before you know, that sort of the range that it has in the immediate number of days, weeks. If not, then obviously if price action comes back above and closes, you know, there, then we would look for the price action to go above and come back, retest that area and go long. But as I said, my preference in this particular chart would be to go short if we have that set up there underneath. So we will need to wait for a few more bars or weeks even to see if that price action is going to come off, and then make a decision based on what we see going forward. All right, next one. Feel free to ask questions if you've got anything. I'm going to have a look at, let me see, how about Euro CHF? Euro CHF. Okay, this one is interesting too. So here I'm in that downward channel and I'm looking for more short opportunities. Let's have a look from the monthly. And let's do a little bit of checking where we are. So at the moment, we are right at the bottom, the previous range. Not ideal, because here I would be expecting that the price, you know, this is the happy spot for now. That's where it's been before. But it is still in the overall downtrend. So it's been going down for quite some time. Still looking for those opportunities in the short term. So let's have a look on the weekly. So on the monthly, just before we move off, you can see that at the moment, the price action is in indecision. We had an inside bar. So the last 2 months, sorry, this is the indecision here. This bar is not closed, so I can't say, okay? But that was the indecision, poked its head underneath and is still within that first indecision there, the monthly. So let's have a look on the weekly time frame. On the weekly time frame, we have basically a push off the top of the range. We had that previously as well. So looking at this bar here and this bar here pushing off, there were 2 bars there and again here. Okay, so we're at the top of that range on a weekly chart. So I'm looking at potentially the downside to that level there as a, you know, get partial profit at least, and money in the bank and safe at that point. Let's have a look at the daily. So on the daily, again, we're at the top of the range. And previously we had those orange areas are those reversals from the weekly. Okay, when we were there, price came up and we had the reversal. Here again, price went up, had the reversal, price went up, reversal. This is all lower highs, lower high, a lower high, and we also had lower lows, lower lows, lower lows. We are again at a lower high. So looking at short opportunities there. All right. So what type of price action? Just a reversal around that area. So let me just, why is this not working? There we go. Yeah, so any, from last week, let me just see where that weekly pivot. The weekly pivot is probably going to be, yeah, slightly above where it is. So I would look for some kind of price action like so, and then, oh, sorry, wrong one, and then going lower after that. So let's see what that's going to pan out like. All right, feel free to ask questions if you've got anything. Let me see what is next. Let's have a look at Euro AUD while we're here. So here I'm looking at a decision area. Let's have a look at the monthly. So on the monthly, we are at the top of that previous level of resistance. At the moment, the price action looks like it's bouncing off, right? But this candle is not closed. The monthly candle is not yet closed. On the weekly, we have that previous channel going up, and it looks like we had two closes underneath and a close above. So it suggests that possibly we are back in the range, and if we are back in the range, we would expect that price action to continue in that range that way, going up. Otherwise, it would need to break underneath here to go back down. On the daily, let's have a look on the daily. So this is what it looks like on the daily. That is the previous channel that has gone all the way to the top of that resistance level. At the resistance level, we did have price go back underneath with a reversal bar. We had a engulfing body bar and an engulfing body and engulfing bar. Price came off, came back, and we had a lower high. Okay, price came underneath, we had a lower low, and back at the top of that. So here we have that decision point to say, well, is this going to reverse and be the next lower high, or is it just going to pull back and continue within that previous channel? So there's a decision point here to watch out for and see where price action is going to go. All right, let me just have a look. Seems like areas of separation from the trade, from that trade line. Momentum is building. Which are you talking about? This one? Richard, sorry. Not sure what areas of separation. What does that mean? Jeff's teaching. Ah, okay. Yep. If that is what he says, that's probably right. Jeff is a good teacher. Awesome. So yeah, so this is what I'm looking at on this. Similarly, GBP AUD, this is what I'm looking at here. So if I look at the monthly, these are my levels of support and resistance on the monthly. And we are back at the previous levels. So looking to see at the moment, we have price pushing up. We didn't get another close above, so only one close above at the moment. So just, you know, deciding. On the weekly, we have an inside bar. Let me just highlight that. So we've got this inside bar, and so far, price has just stayed within that range. Okay, we had a couple of dips above, dips below, but pretty much it's sort of, you know, that is the sort of range that it's in, and it's deciding which way it will go. This is, yeah, where the pressure's building. 2 swoops below, then green trade in you've drawn. Okay, yeah, as in two sets of lower high, lower low, right? Below that green trading. I think that's what you mean. So let's have a look on the daily. On the daily here, we have what we have so far. Disregard, it was, okay. Cool. So here we go. We have this sort of pattern. So we're looking at, is this going to, you know, pull back, maybe retest that level and keep going up, or is it going to come back below? Okay, if it goes below, then once we have that sort of pattern, and looking at short, if we get just a little, let me just redraw that. If we just get a little retest of that line, then we could look for long opportunities. Only thing I don't like is that this point is very close and there's no risk to reward ratio. So would need to go up, come back, and then hopefully we would get a better entry for risk to reward ratio to the top of that next high. So let's see what we get there. Let's see what else. EURAD did that. Let's have a look at GBP USD. GBPs, how are we doing? Oh, we're almost out of time. Let me go to USD SGD then. This one. All right. Let's have a look at this one. This one is I think quite good. So this is USD against the Singapore dollar. And this is where we are at the moment. So I've been looking for a while at the bottom of the channel. So on the monthly, I have, you know, this is my level of support. And we have been along this sort of level for a while. So I'm looking for long opportunities here because I'm looking at, okay, the price to continue within this area as it has really since, you know, 2014 or something like that. So let's see on the weekly. on the weekly. So this is what we have on the weekly. At the moment, because I'm looking at for the long opportunities in this area, at the moment we had a reversal there. We came back, had a reversal there, and at the moment we are, still in that sort of leg going up. We had another engulfing body there. So I'm still looking for that price to go, higher than the previous high, something like that, and following that that pattern. So let's see on the daily. On the daily, what does that look like on the daily? So on the daily, we have, let me just get, there we go, something like that. So it has the higher, oh, sorry, it's just not the right scale. Oh, well, I'll just go with this. So on the daily, we have a low point, we have a high point, we have the high low, and now we sort of, in this mini range, still within that mini range, but still having higher highs, higher lows. So looking at the price here to be going, up like that. If not, then if it comes below, then I would still wait for the price to be somewhere at the bottoms or at the support for a long opportunity. So let's see, if here I want to see some kind of pullback, okay, because now that last bar, Friday's bar, was quite long, so I need to see some kind of pullback, maybe a few bars or just a little, like a little flag type thing, a pattern, and then looking at long opportunities after that, or just anywhere there, as long as it's higher than that previous low. Okay. All right, so I think that will be all for me today. We do have a video from Orlando, so Sam will now play that video, and then we will end the session after the end of the video. So thank you for your questions. Hope it was helpful. And I hand over to Sam for Orlando's video.
All right, guys, how are you? I hope you had a great weekend. Why don't we have a look at what we have going on for next week? I'm going to start with the US dollar. Then I'm going to go through the Japanese yen and probably metals, right? So let me just delete this indicator, right? Now, this is the DXY, the US dollar currency index on the 10-minute chart. Let's go to the hourly. So on the hourly, we can see that we have had a shift in, the sentiment in this market. Now, let me show you. If you notice here, um, we had that last sweep of the lows, right? Meaning that this sweep of the highs is where the shift in the sentiment in this market changed, right? Now, this is not yet confirmed based on my entry model, right? Because I need that break of the structure, right? A break of the highs here to confirm the long side or the bullish bias in this market. However, on the hourly chart, I can see a shift in the sentiment in this market. If we go to the 4-hour chart, right? Well, we can see that we do have a kind of a key level where this market has bounced from, right? Now this key level comes from March, the end of March, right? Where we saw buyers jump in, then sellers try to bring price down, and then we had that break to the upside. Now looking at a possible bounce again. Now, let me just delete all the drawings here and come back to the 1-hour chart. And I'm going to tell you what I'm looking at for next week. So, Basically, here, guys, here is, or the break. I'm sorry, here. Here is that, break of, or the change in the sentiment of the market that I'm looking at. Right, like I told you before, I really need a break of the highs or a break of the structure in order to, the bullish side to be confirmed. But, looking at this on the lower time frames, let's go to the 15-minute chart. If we look at the lower time frames, right, the break of these highs with this very, very, very volatile candle or this very, very volatile move shows me that buyers might be in control. So what I'm looking at here is for longs, right? Longs on the US dollar. Of course, that you know that I don't chase the market. So what I'm looking at for is a pullback. Now, the way that I trade is that I buy into weakness and I sell into strength, meaning that most of my trades are limit orders and that I only trade on pullbacks towards my entry levels. So where should I be looking for those? Let's have a look. I haven't looked at this chart just yet, right? So what I'm looking at here is this. Here's a breaker, and if you know me, right, what I look for are inefficiencies in the market, right, gaps. The reason that I look for gaps for my entries is because the market has to price itself um, efficiently. So most of the times we are going to get those pullbacks towards those inefficient zones or imbalances. So basically, let's have a look at the 15-minute chart again. Basically, what I'm looking at here is this zone right here. Let me show you. There's two imbalances that I'm looking at. This is the first one, and here's the second one. So Lenovo wants me to what? I don't know. And the question is always which one of those are you going to use for your entry, Orlando? Well, the answer is I am always going to use the imbalance closer to the actual, in this case, bullish order block that created this break of the structure. So basically, what I'm looking at is longs around the 102, let's call it 102.30 because I do want to get filled. Of course, that I wouldn't be looking at entering long on the DXY as a market. But if we in fact get this pullback, right, I will be looking for longs on the markets that I trade the US dollar with. So let's have a look at the Euro USD. And basically the same thing, guys, right? Going short on the Euro USD is basically going long on the US dollar. And looking at the 50-minute chart here on the Euro US dollar, there's a ton of liquidity here, which means that I will be looking at this zone, this inefficiency in the market around the 109.70 for shorts, with, of course, stop losses above the structure high. Targets on these possible shorts would be here at this bullish breaker, which would mean that very possibly we could be looking at a, let's have a look, at a 3.7 R trade, right? Now, the pound US dollar is kind of sketchy at this moment. The pound itself is kind of sketchy at this moment, and I wouldn't trade the US dollar on this particular instrument. US dollar, Canadian dollar, also not in my radar. Now, let's have a look at the Japanese yen. So, the Japanese yen, oh, very, very, very bearish. So, let's just delete the drawings. I actually took a short on the Japanese yen on Friday, and I took a long that closed a break even also on Friday, no, on a Wednesday here. But what am I looking here at the Japanese yen basket? Now, this market is extremely bearish, of course. So basically, even if I see a possible break of the structure and sentiment shift in this market, I wouldn't want to get long. The main reason is because of how strong the bullish trend is. So on the hourly chart, actually, I'm going to go to the 2-hour chart. There's no reason, a technical reason, why I shift from the hourly to the 2-hour chart. The only reason is because I want to have the entire price history on a one chart without having to zoom in. So here, um, what I would want to see for possible shorts in this market is this. So here, I consider this just liquidity waiting to get taken out. Also, these highs, and the actual breaker. Actually, I'm going to go to the 4-hour chart, maybe a little bit higher. No, yeah, maybe a little bit higher, just to not have to zoom in on my chart. Right here, the 8-hour chart is fine. Looking for a key level here, right? Looking for a key level. Now, the key level that I could see working is this lows right here. Now, coming back to the 2-hour chart, yeah, I was thinking about the possibility of playing this imbalance right here, but it's too sketchy, really too sketchy. So on the Japanese yen side, I have absolutely no trade, no possible trade. So right now, let's see how the market opens, maybe on the lower time frames, right? Maybe on the lower time frames, we could, in fact, uh, find a possible setup. But for the time being, the Japanese yen is a no-go for me. Now let's have a look at gold. So on Friday, I took this longs on gold, hit targets very nicely. And the question is this market, I'm sorry, has this market shift from bullish to bearish? And the actual answer is, I don't know. No one actually knows, right? Never, ever, ever trade on what you think the market is doing or is going to do, right? Only trade what you actually see on your charts. So, having said that, on Friday I took this longs. Let's go to the 15-minute chart, guys. Again, I took this longs on Friday. Here was my entry on Friday. Right here, spot on long, with my stop losses below the structure low, right? Of a key level, a very strong key level, always. So what I'm looking at here are, again, possible longs. So yeah, the question remains if I'm actually looking for longs on the US dollar, given the correlation it has with this market, right, with gold. I am really looking for longs in this market, in gold. And the answer is yes. You know, I do not base my trading decisions too much in correlations, right? When I look at the US dollar and I'm looking for longs on the US dollar, I'm going to look at the markets that I trade the US dollar on to look for longs on the US dollar. In that case, the one that I show you, the short on the possible short on the Euro USD. But if I'm looking for longs on the US dollar, why would I look for longs in gold given the negative correlation between these two markets? And the answer is because of um, you know the reality in the economic data that we're having. So, and also because if we look at, let's have a look at the hourly chart again. If we look at the, well, if we look at the hourly chart, what I don't dig about, possible longs here is that to me, the actual break of the structure, I'm sorry, I'm going to use a straight line. The actual break of the structure would be these highs, right? Price failed to break these highs. So on the higher time frames, we should in fact still be on quite a bearish pressure or bearish sentiment. But, you know, The question remains, if I were looking for longs, where would I look for longs? And the answer is here. Uh, I'm actually going to go to the low time frames. I don't know if you know how I trade, but I base my trades on the very low time frames, 5 minute chart to 3 minute chart, and I'm looking at this possible, inefficiency in the market left on field, with this, this ton of liquidity just waiting to get taken out. This lows getting, the reason that I'm looking at this is because, like I always tell you, the first thing you learn, when you come to trading is that whenever you have a big breakout, you should wait for the retest of the breakout level. And after mining the data, I know because the data shows that it doesn't work. Most of the times, those are weak players in the market because there's absolutely no structured low in this case because we're looking for longs. There's no structured low to place, your stop losses on a retest. And these players in the market are never going to place their stop losses below the structured low because they're too wide. So basically, what they're going to do, they're going to place their stop losses a few pips below their entry without placing their stop losses, under a real structured low, which creates that liquidity that most of the times gets taken out. In this case, it gets taken out, and then price comes, to feel that imbalance or inefficiency in the market, and then we see the actual move. So, at the open, I'm not going to aggressively try to trade, metals. But I'm going to keep an eye on a possible liquidation of these lows and, a possible long here around the 1916, let's call it. And let's finish off with, you know, um, U.S. equities. So last week I also took a long here, right, and closed 75% of my longs here. The rest of it was closed at break even. And I'm still looking for longs. When it comes to U.S. equities, my preferred market to trade them is the Nasdaq, just because the data shows me that this is the market that I'm most profitable in. But after this pullback that took me out on the last portion of my longs at break even, I am not considering taking longs above the 14,770 level anymore. So the reason is because just by looking here, we have that breaker, right? That breaker, or that break of the highs. So what I would want to see is price one liquidating these lows and these lows, coming back to test that level, creating a new low, right? And then hold on, let me grab my brush. Price liquidating those lows, I'm sorry, to come back to my actual buy level here around the 463 or so. And, that would in fact be an aggressive entry in my eyes because we do have this a massive, massive level left to be liquidated. And we have this big, big imbalance right at the 13,766, or let's call it 13,765 level. So, a couple of things here on the NASDAQ, right? Should price come down here, liquidate these lows, right, and create these lows, very possibly we are going to uh, get an entry short here, right? Uh, since the liquidation of these lows would mean a a market sentiment shift on the short term, right? So liquidation of these lows, shifts the sentiment in this market on the short term, which means that I would be looking for shorts. And after the liquidation of these lows, I would really, really want to see a pullback towards these levels for possible shorts, right? Now, should price, hit these levels, which means that I would get an amazing risk to reward long for a swing trade on the Nasdaq, given the fact that this on the hourly looks like a protected low, also means that I could in fact ride the short side of this market, just looking at previous lows, liquidations, and imbalances fills. So that's what I'm looking at for next week, guys. And trade safe. Don't overtrade. Don't over risk. Always manage your risk. Spot on. And I wish you all a great, great week.
Awesome. Thank you to Orlando. I hope everyone got something out of today's session, and I wish you all the best for the trading week ahead. Have a fabulous week. See you next time.